new study by the American Medical Association finds that more than 40% of police officers suffer from sleep disorders, which can lead to health problems as well as poor job performance. Shift work can make it difficult to get the recommended hours of sleep, as the AMA found. But it's not just police officers that are affected. Doctors, nurses, even those of us working in the TV industry can face long shifts and late hours. So how can we all cope? Joining me now is Dr. Shelby Harris, Director of Behavioral Sleep Medicine at the Montefiore Medical Center. Dr. Harris, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Tanya.
So tell us a little bit about what police officers in particular face.
Right. So police officers are working, sometimes they're working just the night shift, sometimes they're working extra long shifts, and sometimes they're working rotating shifts, one day, then evening, then night, and that can create, for some people, shift work sleep disorder, which makes them feel very sleepy when they should be working and have trouble sleeping during the day and can have a whole host of other problems.
So, of course, it's not just police officers who you're seeing suffering from this problem. Who are the people that you see most often with this problem?
So I think it's anybody who tends to work outside of the typical hours. Even people who work really early morning, like 6:30, before 6:30 in the morning, or evening after 4:30. It can be people who work for the transit authority. It could be people who work in hospitals. It really depends. There's a lot of people who are doing shift work.
And right here on the TV, I've done the overnights myself. I know exactly what it's like. And what is the key to doing it successfully? Because let's face it, in this economy, we can't always pick our hours. We have to take the work that comes to us. So many people simply don't have a choice. They've got to take these shifts. So what's the key to handling it and staying healthy?
Right. So there are some lucky few people who have no problem with it at all. But the goal is to get your circadian rhythms aligned as much as possible. So we're programmed to sleep at night and be awake during the day.
So the daylight sets something off in our brains,
exactly.
Right?
So the best thing to do is to really keep those rhythms in line. And it's not easy, but to go to bed at the same time 7 days a week, even the days you have off. So that's really the best thing to do. The other things you could really do are maybe instead of working the nights all week, on the weekends people will go to bed then at like 11 p.m. to see their family. Maybe go to bed a little later. Kind of meet it in between. So if you normally go to bed at 7 a.m. most days when you're working, go to bed at 3 a.m. instead of 11 p.m. So make it a little bit easier so you can spend some time with your family. It's just the jump between night and day with sleep is very difficult.
And what can it lead to down the road?
So it can lead to various things. So that sleepiness and during work, fatigue, and all that sleepiness and fatigue can cause accidents at work, can cause irritability, attention concentration problems. We see a lot of people who get in motor vehicle accidents when they're driving home from work. So there are a lot of things, and some people even report stomach distress from it and weight gain because you're not sleeping well.
Right, and there is that shift snacking that occurs. I've seen it. It's overnights, you're tired, but you're working, you're snacking to keep your energy up and keep you awake.
Exactly. So really trying to be very cognizant of the meals you're having. Also, a lot of people will have caffeine throughout the night. Have it caffeine and naps earlier in the evening and then stop them the second half of the night. So that's really important as well.
Now, also, how important is it to get the consecutive sleep? Because I know a lot of people that work overnights will then have sort of shift naps during the day because they're trying to get things done. They're trying to see their family. So they say, hey, I get home, let's say I get home at 7 a.m. I'm going to sleep till 11, run some errands, see my kids, take another nap in the afternoon, and maybe another quick nap before going into work. Does that work, or is it better to get the 8 hours?
So the ideal is to set aside 7 to 8 hours. Darkness in your house, really light blocking shades, and tell family, leave me alone. But that's not always practical. So little chunks of 3 or 4 hours where you're getting a good 7, 8 hours is a nice compromise for some people if you're keeping it during the daytime as opposed to switching back and forth between night and day.
So that can work.
Yes, so keep it dark during the day and short naps if you can, and then a lot of bright light during night when you need to be up.
And how important is it to try to get to bed in the morning before the sun comes up?
You know, it's important, but it's not practical. So what we tell people is bright light at night, and then stop the bright light 2 hours before you're going to go home. When you start going home, usually the sun's coming up at that point, put on sunglasses. Then when you get home, get back into dark light or dark room again.
And of course, it never hurts to invest in a pair of blackout shades, right?
Very important for anyone, shift work or not.
And then I always used to wear the mask. That helps too. And I have to say, the earplugs.
The earplugs are really important. And tell your family to leave you alone during the day. Don't call you with all the errands that need to be done.
Yes, turn off the phones. That's the other thing.
It's really important.
You have to take it seriously. You can't treat the daylight hours as differently than the nighttime.
You really need to. You need to train your body to sleep when it needs to sleep if you're switching with the rhythms and to be awake at other times.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shelby Harris.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.